In the name I am that I am, son of tomorrow, I call forth the light of the living word, beloved Elohim, beloved archangels, beloved mighty Choans of the rays and the lords of karma. I call for the action of beloved Pallas Athena, beloved goddess of liberty, beloved Nada, beloved Kuan Yin, beloved Portia, beloved great divine director, beloved all-seeing eye of God, Cyclopeia. Let God's will be done, let God's will be done, let God's will be done. I demand the action of the sacred fire in this hour. Descend almighty cosmos, secret rays. I am the holding of the balance of Lord Gautama Buddha, beloved Sana Kumara and the seven holy Kumaras. I call upon the sacred fire, I call upon the light of God that never fails. Beloved mighty, I am present, come forth in this hour of the victory, come forth in this hour of the victory of the God slain. I demand the full power of beloved mighty Athene with us this night. Beloved Jesus and Kusumi, Lord Maitreya, Gautama and Son of Kumara, come forth now in the victory of the God slain. Send the light of 10,000 suns, beloved mighty Ephraim, mighty Ephraim, mighty Ephraim. Around this fortune I call upon the great single sun magnet. I call upon the light of God that never fails. Beloved Estrella, beloved Estrella, beloved Estrella. I call upon the electronic solar rings of the great central sun, the seraphim of God. I call for the electronic fire rings. I call for the rings of the great central sun. I call for the central sun.
Good morning, pilgrim seekers, pioneers of the human experience here in this third dimensional plane of physical expression. Welcome to Navigating the Astrological Matrix. I am your host and your navigator and your pilot, Robert Phoenix. How is everybody today? It is Wednesday. It is the 17th of October. We're getting ready to transition out of Libra and into Scorpio. The sun is at 24 degrees Libra. We are in the Via Combusta degrees of Libra. Yes, the magical Via Combusta degrees where everything is heightened and so much more intense. So we can expect an uptick in activity between now and the end of the sign as we transition into Scorpio. It's going to be interesting. The first few days of Scorpio, we're going to have the sun in Scorpio obviously conjuncting Saturn in Scorpio fairly early on. And then we also have the sun in Scorpio towards the end of the month. It will be conjuncting its the true node or the north node and opposing the south node. So it should be a fairly interesting experience as we lurch towards the election and the Mercury retrograde that will take place election evening. Mercury is stationary, then it goes retrograde. And if somehow, and I think it's likely, by the way, I've said this before, I did not think Barack Obama would be a second term or two-term president. And I think that the potential for serious unrest is pretty prominent, to be honest with you, with Obama losing. Especially if there's any hint of voter fraud or any hint of vote miscalculation or vote ill tabulation. I mean, I think that if there's any hint of that, people are going to go nuts, okay? It's not going to be a pretty evening. And some of that will be organic. Some of that, no doubt, will be triggered. And we could easily have troops on the street on the day after the election in major cities across America. I'm not kidding you. And it's because we're dealing with Mercury retrograde and we're dealing with this intensity around Scorpio. And what's happening with Scorpio is very early on, and I talked about this and I brought it to light months ago, that we were going to be dealing with more and more cases of sexual abuse and sexual misconduct, and that has been that's been the norm since Saturn went into Scorpio. The day after Saturn went into Scorpio, Jerry Sandusky got sentenced, too lightly, I might add, but he got sentenced And then on the heels of that, in England, they have just been cracking with the Sir Jimmy Savile. I've been corrected by my English audience. It's not Savile, it's Savile. It kind of makes sense, sav and ill together. Savile, like savagely ill. Savile, that thing is exploding across the pond. And the thing with some of these scandals is that because they are so repressed and so constricted that the pressure has no place else to go but out. And this is what Saturn does. As an energy, Saturn compresses, it contracts. Saturn is gravity. And whatever sign it's in, it will compress the elements of that sign. So we have the light and the dark of Scorpio. The dark is very dark. The dark is all about the misappropriation of sexual energy, either through the living or the dead. In the case of Jimmy Savile, it has been rumored that he was a necrophiliac. How much more Saturn and Scorpio can you get, I ask you? Screwing the dead. I cannot fathom what that would be like, or what kind of sensation that would arouse in a person, or what the metaphysical, payoff for that would be. Is it some form of, soul sucking? I mean, is there like a 3-day period, that you want to really get a fresh corpse? To me, it's absolutely mind-boggling. But apparently, that's one of the things that he's been accused of. Now, this thing is going all over the place. There are all these different nodes in the Savile affair, as they say. People like Gary Glitter are showing up again. Does it surprise you? No, it doesn't surprise me. And now you have names like Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie, by the way, Mr. House, as you know him here in America. Their names are starting to pop up as well. So this is a pretty creepy affair, and it's not just the only one. If you go to the eastern seaboard of this country, into, I believe it's the New Hampshire, Connecticut, there is there is the Zumba case. Heterosexuals, they can't be denied. Straight heterosexuals, they can't be denied of scandal because there's a Zumba case. There's a woman who is a Zumba instructor who had sex with over 100 different people in town. So I guess there's benefits to having a career in physical training and recreation. So we have the Zumba sex scandal. So that's what happens. You get all hot and sweaty doing that exotic Zumba from Brazil, the Zumba workout. And what do you want to do after you have Zumba? Well, you might want to do something else. You know what I'm saying, man? So she got popped. And what's fascinating is that they're outing people in that town. They are outing people. Let's just go there. Hold on. Let me just find that. I don't want to. I hate it. I hate it when people are not precise with information. So let me just go there. Let me read you this. Zumba sex scandal. There we go. I love the internet. So it's Maine. This is 30 minutes ago, by the way. Let's see. A former mayor of South Portland, Maine, is among 21 men accused of paying for sex at a Maine Zumba studio run by instructor Alexis Wright. Alexis Wright. Hold on. I hate that. James Soule, S-O-U-L-E, James, or I guess it's maybe Soul. 58, served as mayor of the town near the Kennebunk studio. Kennebunk. So this is bush country, by the way, Kennebunkport. There she is, Alexis Wright. Soule, who is facing misdemeanor soliciting charge, has not responded to requests for comment. What's fascinating about this is that they are coming out and naming names. And it's kind of interesting that people are being outed here. And there have been a number of cases, from Heidi Fleiss to Sydney Biddle, who is the New York madam who's dead, the Washington madam who's dead, by the way, where none of those names got thrown out there, but of course they're willing to throw the common man under the wheels of misfortune with this. The other thing that's really interesting is that Miss Wright is going through her Saturn return. So she has Saturn in Scorpio, Pluto in Scorpio. Here we go. She's a conduit. She is a collective conduit for a national scandal. So it's touching everyone. Everyone is being touched by this. One of the other things that we're going to be seeing here shortly is the scandal, and I'm coming right out, and again, calling as I see it here on 10/17/2012, the HPV scandal. The HPV vaccine is going to be shown to have little or no effect at all. And in fact, if it does have any effect, it'll be a deleterious and negative effect on young women. If you don't know about the HPV vaccine, it is young women, and this is where it gets a little weird, okay? Because people had been insinuating that the HPV virus, the Pamplona virus, is connected to sexual promiscuity, which is very odd. Okay, so what they did is they decided to create this vaccine not only to protect young women from cervical cancer, but also in some weird way give them permission to have sex. In a weird way, it's not like birth control, but it certainly is something that says, okay, you're cool, go out and have sex. So again, we're talking sex, Scorpio, Saturn, compression, and the whole vaccine program, I think, is going to come under even greater fire, because what we're going to be seeing here is Chiron in Pisces, and Pisces rules vaccines, medicine, liquids, vaccinations, and Chiron is the weak link in the chain. So we're going to see more scandal around Chiron in Pisces and the whole vaccination issue. But certainly the Saturn in Scorpio is going to have deep ramifications. If I am a major drug company, get your lawyers ready, because you're going to be hit by a bevy of lawsuits from pissed off parents. They're coming at you. And guess what? They know this, and this is what the medical companies do, Big Pharma does, is that they will put their product out there. They will keep a certain amount of money in reserve for litigation. So they don't beta test, or they beta test at a level that is meeting the minimum standard of the FDA or the AMA or whatever department they're dealing with. So as a result of that, these companies put out mostly faulty drugs, and they are ready to deal with the litigation and the backlash. Because if they make, say, $500 million on their vaccine or on their drug, and they have to settle out of court for $150 million or $250 million, well, that's a profit of $250 million for them. That looks good at the end of the day, and this is how the business is run. So we're going to get a look behind that scene as well with Saturn and Scorpio. Another interesting piece here with Saturn and Scorpio is what's happening with the sinkhole in Louisiana. It's getting bigger, it's getting wider, it's getting deeper, and now they're starting to smell things like methane and petroleum. I believe, and this is my assumption, since we're dealing with Assumption Parish. Isn't that an amazing name, Assumption Parish? Wow. So it's my assumption that what's happened is that this sinkhole is in the back end of the Macondo well and the BP disaster from 2 years ago, that the two are linked. And this is the back end of that experience. It's a fracture and a rift in the New Madrid, and it's getting bigger. And some very interesting things are happening down in that part of the world. Yesterday, there was a series of booms and explosions, and there was actually a half-mile wide mushroom cloud over Louisiana, over the north part of Louisiana. I first saw it on Facebook. There's a fellow by the name of James Burns who has a radio show from based out of Shreveport, and he asked anybody else if they had noticed any of these booms. And I thought, well, that's interesting. And I began to sort of track this, and now it's becoming fairly significant news in that area. So I sent James an email, and I'm going to try to get him on the show on Friday so we can talk about this and see what he thinks that this might be, because he's kind of in the same world that most of the people who listen to this show are as well. His show is called The Freedom Files. So we're going to see if we can get him on and talk about this and get kind of a bird's eye view of what's happening in Louisiana. And of course, on Friday, we'll also have Claire Kuhn on as well. We'll be talking about free energy. So Friday should be a very good show. The last bit of news here before we plunge into readings, 954, I see you there. Hang in there. We're going to get to you. And I urge you, call your friends or let people know that we're going to be on the air today for an hour and 45 minutes, a full 2-hour show, and I will be doing live readings. I've got my energy drink firmly inside of me, so I'm good to go. I'm revved up and ready to go. But the last bit here that I'm going to talk about before we jump into readings is what's happening down in Austin, Texas with Lance Armstrong. Again, a big story. Lance Armstrong has had to step down from the Livestrong Foundation. This is the Cancer Awareness and Cancer Recovery Foundation that was founded by Lance Armstrong, mostly due to his partner that he went to school with at the University of Texas. And Lance Armstrong stepped down. It's a big deal. Lance Armstrong, we're seeing Lance Armstrong being taken down before our very eyes. And Livestrong were the people that asked Lance Armstrong to step away. It wasn't Lance. It was Livestrong. And as a result, Livestrong's number one sponsor, Nike, has pulled out. That's significant. Now, if you're a mall, if you're a shopping mall, Nike is your keystone tenant. Nike is the place. Nike is the reason why people come to your mall. If you're that mall, it's the reason why other sponsors would come to Livestrong. So this is not a good day for Livestrong. It's not a good day, certainly, for Lance Armstrong. And again, what we're seeing with Saturn and Scorpio is power, people. It's power. It is all about power. How you use it, how you wield it, what you do with it, how you steward it. Power, 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 power. And if you have abused power with Saturn and Scorpio, guess what? Compression. It gets to come out. And Lance Armstrong, by all accounts, has not been the most humble steward of power, shall we say. Because not only are we seeing the professional allegations, quite frankly, I could give two shits about the professional allegations. And I'll tell you why. All those other guys in his team, they were doping too. Plain and simple. Everybody on the tour was doping. Hello? They were all on EPO. And if they weren't, guess where they were? They were in the back of the damn pack. That's where they were. They were bringing up the rear. And one of the things that international cycling really took on during that phase was it became a dynamic sport. It became a dynamic sport. You know, they would have these, I don't know how much you people know about cycling, but they would have this thing called the massive attack. And that's when teams would literally go on these full-on sprints against other teams during the course of a race. These races are held over a period of 3, 4, 5, 10, 14 days, depending on where they are. And the massive attacks were new to the sport because cycling is an endurance sport. It's not a sprint sport. And yet, because people were using these performance-enhancing drugs, they had a lot of energy and a lot of juice to pull from. So it changed the strategy of the races. It made it more exciting. It made it a sport that bordered on the extreme. And what do we love in America? We love extreme sports. We love anything extreme. So if it wasn't for Lance Armstrong, if it wasn't for his team, if it wasn't for all the other jokers that were doing EPO or whatever, blood and andro, whatever it was they were using, the sport would not have gained such prominence. Bicycle manufacturers and everybody else associated with cycling, they would not have had as much action. They wouldn't have had as many sales. Period. End of story. And the whole notion that bicycling is the only sport where it's taking place is absolutely ludicrous. You know, I'm going to go back to the Olympics. I'm going to look at Usain Bolt. You know, Usain Bolt had a quantum leap in his times, just like Ben Johnson, who got busted for steroids. Just like Ben Johnson. Usain Bolt's training times went from above average to supernatural, like that. And why? How does that happen? Do you all of a sudden find a new running technique or get a better running coach, or is it a different pair of shoes? I don't think so. Carl Lewis, who also used performance-enhancing drugs, has talked about this. And if you have followed my work and the work of people like Darren Williams, clearly Mr. Bolt is a Freemason, so he's likely going to get a pass at the highest echelons of testing. So it's ludicrous to think that performance enhancement is solely in the domain of cycling. I know for a fact that it's still as big as it ever was in the NFL. How do you get guys that are 6'5" and 385 pounds running a 5.0 second 40-yard dashes and doing 25 to 30 vertical inch leaps? People, that's not human. That's superhuman. And if you think that the NFL is playing a clean sport, you got another thing coming. And we live in a society where, you know, we're told to, as a male, I listen to sports radio every 30 minutes, hey, after 40, your testosterone levels get low. You don't have as much energy. You got belly fat. You can't get it up. Get that testosterone level up. Get this. Every half hour I hear that on the radio. If I'm watching TV, it's all about Viagra or Cialis. And if it's not about those, it's about some other drug that keeps your feet from itching or, keeps nose hair from growing in your nasal cavities, your nasal passages. I mean, there's a drug for everything. And yet, you know, we look at these athletes and we're supposed to hold them to some higher standard. Give me a break. When Barack Obama and Mitt Romney are out there on the campaign trail, especially Romney doing all the stumping, do you think he's just drinking coffee? Hell no. That guy is getting about 500 cc's of the best B12, choline, Benzedrine, you name it. He's getting a shot in the ass every single day so he can be on. It's just another layer of hypocrisy. But what we're seeing here is the abuse of power. And Lance Armstrong clearly abused power. And that's Saturn and Scorpio. And it's coming out because there is the connection to drugs. And Scorpio rules drugs. It rules drugs. Drugs of all kind. Narcotics, you name it. Drugs. I would say that steroids fall under the domain of Scorpio. Now, Pisces rules injections because it is liquid, right? But Scorpio rules the actual ingredients of what that injection is. So we're going to see more of this, and keep your eyes and ears open for the first of the month. Well, actually around the 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, anytime between the 22nd and the 1st, when the sun is in Scorpio and it conjunct Saturn. It's going to be a very, very interesting time. Very interesting time. All right, let's get into some readings. Let's reward the patient. Let's go to the 954 area code. Not a lot of people on right now, so I can do full charts. Hi there. Welcome to the show. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Robert. This is James from Miami.
Hey, James. What's happening, brother?
Nothing much. What's going on?
Man, I'm just ruminating on this, on the state of the world and this, all the crazy Scorpio energy that's just seething through the cracks.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love your take on it because I completely agree 100%. I actually like the times that we're in right now because, you know, a lot of things got to come down. A lot of things need to be exposed, and we really need to be consciously aware of what's really going on. We really do, because, you know, we are living like zombies. We living like
we are. I totally agree. I mean, this is the opportunity that we have. I mean, don't turn away from it. Look at it, because it's there. It's always been there. It's just getting exposed now. And if we have any chance of, you know, transforming the conditions that we live in, then I think that this is really a very key time. You know, later on in 2013, we're going to get some very nice trines between Jupiter and Saturn and Jupiter and Neptune. And right now, Saturn's actually in a nice trine with Neptune. So, you know, we have the potential to not only experience this stuff, but experience kind of an internal healing as well. Because I think, James, the problem is that most people don't want to feel like that they've been played or been a fool, right? I mean, I think that's what it's about.
Right.
And so I think that if everybody realizes that we're all in this together, that they're not alone, then maybe the collective egg on the face gets shared a little bit. But I just don't think it's realistic to think that people, that we can live in the times that we live in, and this stuff isn't going to come out, and that people aren't going to experience some level of at least initially denial, and then break through that denial. It's going to happen. To the degree at which it happens remains to be seen. So anyway, There we go. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
So
I love it, man.
What's going on in your world down in Miami?
Well, you know, I called in because I love hearing you and I love hearing your take, but I also wanted to know what was going on with me as far as the stars and the planets are concerned, because you know, I'm definitely feeling a huge shift for myself, and sometimes I can't really articulate in the vocab what's going on with me. So I'm just wondering if you can give me a little insight and especially how to work with this shift.
Well, let's check it out here. Yeah, let's check it out here. Give me your coordinates again.
Okay, it's March the 30th, 1985.
Okay, March 30th, 1985. There we go. And what time?
And that time is 3:38 p.m. right here in Miami.
All right. Well, the surprising Miami Dolphins are holding their own.
Yeah, we are. But I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't that stuff you're talking about.
I don't know, man. All I know is I watched Hard Knocks, and I was really less than impressed with Joe Philbin, but I got to tell you, they're playing for that guy, so hats off to them. All right, I got your chart here, and I'm looking at it. So the big news for you really is Uranus, okay?
Okay.
So your Uranus has moved into your it's in your 8th house now. So Uranus is at 8 degrees currently, and it's conjunct your Sun. I mean, that's really a very powerful transit, and you know, because of the connection, between Mercury and Venus, which are twins. I mean, they're almost the same planet in your chart. Because of their connection together and the conjunction with the Sun, you're going to start to feel this ripple effect from Uranus in the 8th house. Now, Uranus in the 8th house is an interesting transit because there's a sense of electricity and there's a sense of possibility that's lurking beneath the surface. And you don't know what it is. You don't know how it's going to impact you. You don't even really know where it's coming from, but you know that you're plugged into some kind of a current or some kind of a grid. And the challenging part with Uranus in the 8th house is that many times people will become more accident prone during a Uranus 8th house transit because they're feeling this energy and they're not really used to it. So it's almost like getting acclimated to a certain type of gravity in another dimension or another planet. And initially, it can be a little bit awkward. Maybe you'll be running too much adrenaline. Maybe your reflexes will be too fast. Or if you're feeling edgy, because sometimes there's an edginess with the Uranus transit, you can actually attract people towards you who are accident prone. And I've seen this happen before. My son, he has Uranus natally in his 8th house. He's incredibly accident prone. He's only 8 years old and he's broken 2 bones already. And I'm 52 and I've had 1 break in my entire life. So as it gets closer to your sun, though, I think what's really fascinating is that you're going to have the opportunity. With your sun in the 8th house, you're kind of a Scorpionic character to begin with, but when Uranus hits that sun, and it's almost there right now as we speak, I think that there's going to be. It's kind of like this. Here's the metaphor I'm going to use. It's kind of like there's a diving crew and they're in the Caribbean, and all of a sudden they go down. Let's say there's been a little bit of an earth tremor, and all of a sudden there's been a clearing that's taken place underneath the surface of the water, and they see like the wall of a city, and then here's the point of what could be a temple, and all of a sudden this diver, who goes down sees the submerged landscape in the Caribbean in a very different light, and in fact, what he's seeing is the revelation of a mystery, and it's like, wow, I've just uncovered a lost city. That lost city was already there, but what happened was that the conditions have changed, and now the mystery becomes much more apparent to whoever is exploring that submerged area. And that's the metaphor I would use for your life, because what Uranus is going to do is it's going to come in, and because your sun is in a house that is hidden, it's going to illuminate your persona, your personality, your gifts and your skills. More of that Aries quality is going to become available to you. So look at being more assertive, more dynamic, more risk-taking, more willful. I think this is going to be a great addition for you in terms of flexing more aspects of your persona. And the thing is, it's like a lot of times people don't like to step outside of the box of their personality or their solar expression for a number of different reasons. But this is going to occur naturally and organically for you. And as it moves to like 11 and 12 degrees in your Uranus in Aries in 2013, it's going to move closer towards your Mercury. And let me tell you, that is going to be a really amazing time for you, because the Uranus-Mercury conjunction is going to happen right around the same time that it's going to trine your natal Uranus in Sagittarius. So we're talking revelation, epiphany, activation of the electric mind. I mean, this is a really powerful and potent time for you. And any aspect, because Aries deals with self more than any other sign, okay? So you are at a fundamental level dealing with the notion of self as a solar identity with Aries. You're dealing with the notion of self through a communication perspective with Mercury, and you're dealing with the notion of self with Venus on a very primary level, and like, what's important to you, what type of relationship is important to you, what's the energy around that relationship. Uranus is going to come in and it's going to activate all of those areas. So anything that's been latent for you, James, in this lifetime, that's going to change, and it's going to change radically. And I would bet everything that I own and know as an astrologer that by the time Uranus passes through your 8th house and gets to the other side of Venus, which would be around 2015, 2016, that every area of your life, your personality, your thoughts, your ability to communicate, your relationships, and by the way, even your home, because Uranus is in the 4th house in your natal chart, all those things are going to change and change drastically. So the notion of you being a different person might come into play, except the different person that you're going to be is just a deeper version of you. It's a version of you that is much more complex, much more novel, much more attuned and aligned with what we would call a multidimensional awareness, because all this is happening in the 8th house. I think this is a very exciting time for you. And, the thing that you are, I think, really going to be challenged with is trusting your intuition, trusting your inner voice, trusting your hunches, because one of the things that Uranus does, especially in the 8th house, is it happens fast. So if you have a thought or you have an idea or you say, hey, for whatever reason, I just want to go here at this point in time, you need to test that out. And so you can set up little tiny experiments for yourself. Like, okay, I'm going to trust my intuition, and I'm going to take one point out of my day where I'm going to do something that is kind of off the road or, off the map or off the chart. And I'm going to trust that and follow that and see how that plays out for me. So you can actually, this is a way for you to work the transit. The other thing, too, is because all of this stuff is in the 8th house. The 8th house is the house of legacy. So one of the things that you'll also come in contact with is the spiritual legacy from people in your family, grandfathers, great-grandfathers, grandmothers, great-grandmothers, but mostly paternal because the sun is there. You're going to start to get information about their lives, who they were, what they did, how they reflect, certain aspects of your life. Sometimes the legacy can result in money. I'm not saying that it will, but it can. All of a sudden this tree shakes loose and some great uncle somewhere leaves you something. So, but what we want to look at is the familial, the spiritual, and the personal legacy from people that are part of your life. So that will happen as well. You'll realize that you're part of a particular chain of people and familial relations, especially on the male side. So look for clues when, this is, I think, a very, very dynamic transit for you. You've got Jupiter up there in your 10th house in Gemini, and it's going to be in there for the entirety of Jupiter's run through your 10th house. It moves into your 11th house in June of 2013 rather. And anytime you have a Jupiter 10th house transit, it's a prime time to think about a career change or to think about expanding what you do in terms of your career. You need to let your curiosity really guide you with a Jupiter Gemini 10th house transit. I'm trying to think of anything. Oh, yes. Well, so Jupiter's at 18, I think it's at 16 degrees now. It goes back to about 12 degrees in 2013. So you're going to get hooked back up with that Jupiter trine. And you have Jupiter in Aquarius in your 6th house. So what you want to do is you want to, again, think about, why am I here? What am I doing? What am I doing with my work? You're with Jupiter in Aquarius in your 6th house, you're a visionary and you're here to do something and be of service, but not in a conventional way at all. Maybe you want to get into astrology more. Maybe you want to get into some of the stuff that we talk about on the show more. That would really, suit that Jupiter in Aquarius in the 6th house. Unconventional healing would be another modality for Jupiter in the 6th house. Lastly, here's the big piece for you. You've got Saturn coming into your 3rd house, and it is 1 degree away from your Pluto, your natal Pluto. So get ready. Get ready for the rock show down in the 3rd house. That's where all the fireworks are going to go off. Saturn Pluto is, and I've seen this in a number of different charts, when Saturn crosses Pluto, the individual's life is changed in a very big way. in a significant way. For you, it's the third house, so it's about communication, it's about learning, it's the world around you. So be prepared to, I know that you've been thinking about moving at times. I would say that be prepared to see some very significant changes in the area around you that might force you to move or might force you to reconsider, where you are. So again, Saturn conjunct Pluto is a big, big deal. And I've seen people, now it can also be a very positive change. In fact, almost always it's a positive change, but we don't see it as a positive change at that time. So this is happening right now and happens really up until the end of the year. So get ready. Don't freak out. You don't want to, you don't want to clench your anal, your sphincter, but just be ready and be ready to go with the flow. Okay. Remember that whatever Saturn and Pluto collude with in your life and take away from you, you weren't really meant to have it anyway. Right. And what's left is really the diamond, the jewel of that experience.
That's true. That's very true. Wow.
So, yeah. So that's here now, man. That is here now, and get ready to rock and roll with that.
Oh man, thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, James. Hey, no problem, man. Thank you for calling in, and we'll see you around again. Okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right.
It's our friend James in Miami. Let's go to another friend of the show. Let's go to Dave in Austin. I bet you he's got something he wants to talk about with Mr. Armstrong. Hello, Dave.
Hey, greetings. How's it going, Phoenix?
Hey, it's great, man. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
Well, it's been about 3 months since I had a reading.
Yeah.
And man, I'm trying to figure out where I'm at here.
Well, you're in Austin. We know where you are physically. Other than that, let's find out where. So, any thoughts on Mr. Armstrong and Live Strong since he's in your part of the world?
My thoughts are, and I know nothing about it, but I say he's probably pretty much set up.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with you. I totally agree.
The way they do everything,
Yeah. It's amazing that they can be so efficient and amass this evidence in such a granular fashion, and yet they can be so, I'm talking about the government, and yet they can be so awkward and so clumsy and so ineffective with any number of other things, right? I mean, if they decide that they want to really, crack down on somebody and get very focused, boy, it's a very efficient system. But going out and helping, people that are struggling in places like, say, New Orleans during a hurricane, it's a whole different thing. What is your birth date, Dave?
12/3/53.
All right, so we got a little Sagittarian.
4:05 in the afternoon.
Hold on a second. 1953. So you're a snake. 2013 should be a very good year for you. Okay. When in the afternoon?
4:05 in the afternoon.
4:05. And where was that?
Sterling, Sterling, Illinois. Okay. In regards to one of the other things we're talking about, think about the stats of how many people go missing a year. They have statistics of everything, but they never mention how many people in the United States go missing a year. And I think if that were legend, their jaws would just drop.
Well, it's not only just stats when people go missing. There's a book out. I forget who did the book, but I heard the guy on the radio recently, probably about 4 months ago. The amount of people that go missing in national parks is really freaky.
I've heard that. Yep.
Yeah, it's like, and it's like people will go out on a hike, and one or two of the people don't come back, and they never see them again. And this is a pretty fairly common. In fact, it's far too common, I think, for anybody to comment about it at a high level. All right, so I got you here, man. Looking at your Gemini ascendant. Well, you've got Jupiter in your first house right now, so theoretically, you would have an abundance of opportunity. But I just did a reading for somebody yesterday who also had Gemini on the ascendant. And when it goes backwards in the first house, it's a very interesting movement because Gemini represents like early childhood education and, you know, just as you're going from pre-verbal to verbal, all that stuff. So when it's in the first house, it really is going backwards and getting you to think in some ways about, you know, your formation as an individual, you know, what you learned, what you have to unlearn, you know, what you were good at an early age. It brings up all those memories. And there is some validity to this because there's a form of recollection with Jupiter and Gemini retrograde in the first house. And recollection basically breaks down into recollecting or remembering, which is remembering and bringing things back into being or bringing things back into your collection or your collective awareness, your individual awareness. So this is an important time for you to kind of go back and revisit, you know, those aspects of your youth or your childhood that you may have discarded and may have thought were not really that meaningful. And really they are a lot more meaningful than you might think. And so what you want to do now is when Jupiter moves forward and it begins to conjunct your natal Jupiter in 2013, you'll have gone through kind of this process of bringing the past into the present, and you'll really be able to capitalize on that Jupiter-Jupiter conjunction. And I know that you've been working with this kind of educational thing. That's what you talked about before in the show, and for me, that's really a very that's reflective of this Jupiter transit going retrograde. You could be refining some of those ideas too about this educational thing that you've been working on. That's a very Jupiter Gemini first house retrograde. Refine, retool, revision, and then when Jupiter moves forward, you really want to capitalize on that because you've got a tremendous opportunity when Jupiter hits your natal Jupiter in the first house. Why? Because it sextiles Pluto in Leo. Anytime you have a Jupiter-Pluto sextile in the chart, especially when Jupiter transiting, which doesn't happen very often, hits that sextile, you've got the opportunity for money. You know,
when did that happen?
Other people's money. Hold on, let me get the ephemeris up here. Let's see, we got. Okay, I had this story open about these girls getting this vaccine, which is absolutely insane. I'm going to want to bring it to boys too. All right, here we go. Let's see, 2013, 22 degrees, Jupiter Gemini, moving ahead in time. That is May of 2013. That's when it goes exact. You'll be able to feel it right around 18 degrees, which would be around the 5th of May. So you really want to work towards that date. I mean, if we want to use astrology as kind of a map, you know, or an astrolabe, and the place that we want to go isn't the physical destination, but a metaphysical destination, then that's where you want to set your map towards, is that day. Is the 22nd, which is a great day, by the way. It's a master number, and you're dealing with a master number with the vibration of Jupiter. So you want to be able to set your sails towards that day. So if you are going to bring a product to market, if you want to bring this idea to market, you know, you need to get very focused now and use that energy of Jupiter to refine. Is the main topic for Jupiter right now for everybody, wherever it's showing up in your chart. So that's really, I think, the big piece for you. I mean, that's what just jumped out for me. If there's anything else, let's take a look at Saturn here. Hello, Saturn return. You got it. It's on, buddy. You're in your second Saturn return, and you're just like James is going to have Saturn hit Pluto. You're going to have Saturn hit Saturn, and that's happening right now. It is right now. You're going through your second Saturn return for the next 2 3/4 years. You're going to be dealing with Saturn issues. You're going to be dealing with Scorpio issues. You know, it's not just Saturn. You've got Moon in Scorpio. Saturn gets to 9 degrees this year. It'll be very close to your natal Moon. and then it's going to conjunct your Mercury, and then it's going to conjunct Venus at the far end of the Saturn return in 2014. But that's the news of the day, man. Saturn return. You're in it. Welcome to it. And it's the sixth house. And the sixth house, what is the sixth house? It's vocation. It's dharma. It's purpose. It's service. So you're going to get really focused, Dave. This sense of floating for you, that is over. No more floating. Because Saturn is going to demand that you focus. Saturn is going to demand that you work. Because I think if you put in the hard work now, your purpose will be redefined, clearly redefined, by the time it's over and done with, 2 3/4 years from now. So use the energy, use these transits. This is what we want to be able to do, is use these transits to our benefit and our advantage. Take advantage of that Jupiter retrograde in your first house so that you can refine your ideas, go back, recollect, remember, revision. And then when it moves forward, bang, you're ready to go. You're ready to get that money. You're ready to, to put your idea into action. And then you're ready to work hard to redefine, why you're here and what you're here for. So you're a transformational character, man. You've got Saturn in Scorpio, you've got Moon in Scorpio, Mercury in Scorpio, Venus in Scorpio, and Saturn is going to be here to remind you of that. And you're here to make an impact on the world, obviously, and to share a lot of knowledge and a lot of instinct and a lot of wisdom. So one of the challenges you're going to have with that Saturn Moon conjunction in 2013 is, probably dealing with your daughter's mom. I think that's a real potential issue for you, and dealing with things like money and legacy and shared resources. And maybe it might come from your end, it might come from her end, but there's going to be concerted effort there to deal with and work with that energy. Anything that's unresolved between her is going to come up in a very big way during that time. But you're up for it, man. I mean, this is why you're here. Take Saturn by the horns and get down and just drop your distractions, drop your addictions, roll up your sleeves, get to work, and live your purpose.
Well, the challenge is I'm waiting on this investment to pop, and I believe that there's probably 90% chance that it will.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of like the waiting is kind of driving me crazy. The project's fully bloomed in my being.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to somebody the other day, and they said, well, I need to start looking for a location. I actually have two things in mind, Robert, and one is I had been thinking about here in Austin having a large building downtown, mm-hmm. and actually housing a publishing company in it,
mm-hmm.
and having a production company in it, all these things right in-house here, because you'd have 10,000 people, musicians a month moving here,
right,
that have nowhere to go and lose everything.
Yeah.
But to have this publishing company and have a storehouse of songs, I mean, doesn't it sound feasible that there's a huge amount of money there, and you can actually help society and help these musicians, give these retired guys a place to hang out and talk and teach to some of these younger guys?
Well, I think if there's any place for that to happen, it's Austin, obviously, because the musicians there have their own union, they have health benefits, so I think that the climate there is prime for that. Your ninth house, which would be the house of publishing, that's where your true node shows up. So, and that's in Capricorn. I see nothing wrong with that idea, because what does Capricorn represent? It represents buildings. It represents tall buildings. We're not talking squats. We're talking buildings that are vertical, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 stories high. So that's, I think, yes, that would actually be a very interesting thing for you to look at and potentially move towards. Yeah, absolutely. I would green light that and explore that.
Well, man, how long is it going to be before you arrive?
Shortly. I'll be there in a few weeks.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I will look you up, and we'll hang out, and well, who knows? Who knows what else we can cook up on there?
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities here to, even compiling data on these musicians. I mean, there's a lot of guys sitting around here like Tommy Shannon. You know who Tommy is?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you know, I mean, he walks up and down the streets here, barely surviving, I think. And these guys have nothing to do. You know, we could give them back a life by creating a place to teach some of these younger guys and just tell the stories. You know, a sharing house of some sort. You know.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually pretty good friends with Richard Thompson's producer. Do you know Richard Thompson?
I've heard him before.
Fairport Convention. He lives down there in Austin. I'm pretty good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he would actually be a very good resource for you. He's a very cool guy. So we'll talk more about this when I get there, all right?
Well, blessings, and thanks so much.
All right, Dave. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That's our good friend Dave from Austin, Texas, which I will be within a few short weeks. Get ready, Austin. Here I come. All right, let's go to the 323. Here we go. Hi there, you're on the air. Hey, what's going on?
It's Camille.
Hey, what's going on, Camille?
Oh, good, good. Not too much, just checking in to see what's happening, what in my transit. I mean, I know Saturn is in Scorpio, and I know that's entered into my 10th house. It hasn't come to my Uranus or my true node yet, but I know it's in there.
Right. All right. Let's check it out.
Yeah.
We can hear the lovely bee on your lap.
Oh, yeah, she's there hanging out.
All right. When's your birthday again?
Okay, July 13th, 1976.
July 13th, 1976.
In LA at 6:18 p.m.
And 6:18 p.m.?
Yes.
Let's see. Let's go here. Los Angeles. Yeah, right. There. Bada bing.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. Let's check you out. You got Saturn on Mars right now. No, sorry, it's Virgo. Hold on. Let's see. Saturn is on Uranus.
Oh, it is already.
Yep. 3 degrees, so it's right there right now. And your, let's see, a true node at 9 degrees Scorpio. So Saturn's going to be on your true node by the end of the year. And,
by the end of the year? Okay.
Yes, because it gets up to 9 degrees in December. So, you know, Saturn on Uranus can be a little, it can be problematic. The energies are not compatible with a conjunction because Uranus, look, your career path is going to be unconventional anyway, right? I mean, You've got Uranus in the 10th house. You know, you're here to do something very unique and very different and apart from the maddening crowd, and that is to be determined. It can be challenging when you have Uranus natally in the 10th house, because, you know, the world itself is based on pretty formulaic, you know, expressions to make money and to get by in the world. That's not you at all. And Saturn and Uranus squares your Saturn, Venus and Uranus squares your Sun. So you have to work extra hard to be able to make that Uranus, you know, work for you. Now Saturn is there, and Saturn is, again, the keynote with Saturn is compression and gravity. And Uranus as an energy is electric and chaotic and unique and original, and it doesn't like to be put in a box. So when you have Saturn sitting on Uranus, what do we have? We have nervousness, we have tension, we have restlessness, you know. And when Saturn, you know, and because your Venus is out there at the late degrees of Cancer, you're going to get that square going on, you know. So so what do you do with the energy? How do you deal with a sense of this restlessness? Well, one of the things that you want to be able to do is you want to work with the energy in two ways. You want to be able to run the energy somehow, meaning that you don't want it boxed up, you don't want it blocked. You've got to move it. You've got to move that energy, okay? and so it doesn't coagulate and keep you from being. One of the things when you get that conjunction is you can get snappy and you can get curt and short with people. So you've got to figure out, okay, how can I be innovative in a practical way? How can I be because you're also a very transformational character with that true node in the 10th house. How can I be innovative and transformational in a way that is also very focused and is also very what's the word I'm looking for? Professional. So this is something that you're going to have to kind of figure out. How do you run the energy? Do you run the energy by creating a website that promotes your uniqueness? Whatever that uniqueness is, whether it's an event production or fashion or being a mom that had the immaculate reception, whatever that thing is, you're going to have to find a way to do it that is functional, that is very 10th house and very Saturnian and very professional. So it's about being unconventional and professional at the same time, and taking advantage of kind of unconventional modes of expression and articulation. And that's something you're going to have to, work with and figure out. You run the energy. You've got to run the energy through the 10th house. Sometimes you can run the energy with exercise or getting it out and working with it in a way. Dancing can be an interesting way to deal with the energy. Another way of dealing with the energy is through meditation and trying to be still. But sometimes when Saturn's on Uranus, you just can't have that. It's very hard to sit down and be quiet and be still. You need to be in some ways kind of more active, but active with a purpose. Saturn is always about purpose. How can I make this purposeful in my life right now? And then as it moves closer to your true node, which is on the border of your 11th house, almost reading it for your 11th house, I really feel like you need to explore the internet more. You need to explore the internet in ways in which you can find an audience. Find how can you tap into, say, 100,000 or 200,000 other unconventional moms, right?
Right.
That's what you need to be able to do. Is it through a blog? Is it through a network? Can you find a network out there that would take your blog about your life and your baby, the challenges that you have with weight gain, with some of the things that you deal with in terms of judgments from other people, from the medical industry. I mean, all this stuff, right? I mean, if you can figure out a way to tell your story, to give people really practical, again, we're talking about practical solutions with how to deal with this, all of a sudden now you've got a little gold mine. It's like, oh wow, this woman is clearly expressing some of the challenges that I'm going through. Now, granted, some of them aren't going to be as extreme as yours, because we see that the Uranus Sun square. It's like, wow, there it is, birth, hello, but they'll have their own version of it. And I think that you are going to be really well equipped to deal with that. And I see you on Facebook, and you're really articulate, and I think you have some artistic ability. So making your blog or whatever it is that you're doing look good. Maybe you want an app. Maybe you want to explore an app. Maybe the app is, mom outside the box or something like that.
Right.
It's a little app. People can do apps now on their own. It's a daily app with outside the box solutions or suggestions for parenting as a single mom. I mean, I think that that's really where you want to go, and you want to take advantage of the internet to do that. If you do things like that, then you're going to be running the energy. Then you're feeling like, okay, I'm on to something. Now Saturn is not squatting on your Uranus, and you're feeling like, God, I got to do something. I don't know what it is. I know I got to do something. Now you're actually moving towards something, and that's kind of what I would, because you've got Chiron down there in the 4th house. That's the house of that's mom. That's motherhood, and it's like, I'm going to be open. I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to share my story, my experience with the world. I'm going to get into my Chiron, and guess what? You know, they're going to find other people that are willing and able to listen to your stories. Man, that's great. I like you. You know, I want more of you. You know, and the more that you get into it, Camille, the more that you'll find. Like, for instance, I think a really interesting thing to do would be, you know, how do women in indigenous cultures, you know, deal with issues? You know, I mean, that's, you know, we're so you know, conditioned to go down to the store and go buy the formula or whatever that thing is. You know, how do women in indigenous cultures, let's say you're having a challenge lactating, right? Well, how do they deal with it? What kind of herbs will they take? You know, these are all things that I think could be really interesting things for you. So, you know, you want to broaden your scope and you know, expand your canvas. I think you could be quite successful at this. Actually, you've got Moon in Aquarius down in the second house. Come on, unconventional.
Yeah, I've been studying that one for off and on. Astrology, I've been studying it off and on, but more so in the past maybe 9 years. And the whole Moon Aquarius second house, it's becoming more real to me. It's starting to make more sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. I mean, I am a very unconventional, like larger-than-life person that someone recognized and said, oh, you know, you've got it all. You're so larger than life, and now you have a baby. It's fantastic. Yeah. Whereas in other earlier parts in my life, it's been, okay, you're strange, you're too different. This is how we have to try to change you to break you out of that and make you be something or someone different, because how you are is not right.
Right.
It's not appropriate. It's not whatever. And it's been very, very hostile, it's gotten ridiculous. And I've tried for years to go along with other people's, you know, thing, but it just doesn't work for me. It didn't get me anywhere.
Yeah. All right. So I just went to GoDaddy, and aquarianmom.com is available.
Interesting.
So it's a little long, but hey, look, there's an opening, and it's there if you want to take it.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I will look into that, because I do see a need. I see a need, a specific need, a particular segment of our culture that we could, you know, I guess being underserved.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, thanks.
All right, you're welcome. And, just, again, what you want to do is you want to work the energy. And if you take steps towards doing that, the key here is, because what you want to do is you want to unlock the innovation of Uranus, right?
Okay.
And if you consciously work with that conjunction, Uranus will yield more and more innovation. But if you don't, then it will just yield more and more frustration. Okay?
Yeah, and that's what I care to just leave that frustration behind. I mean, it got to the point where I didn't really want to open the doors or the windows.
Yeah.
Because I was that afraid of people, and that's not me. Yeah, Okay.
All right?
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks.
All right, Camille. You take good care. Take good care of B, and we'll see you out there in the virtual realm.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
If you don't know who Camille is, Camille went for a bike ride one day and came back from her bike ride and took a bath, and a couple hours later was having a baby. But she didn't know was inside of her. And looking at her chart, Uranus, square, Sun in Cancer. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. So now she is working with this beautiful, beautiful little baby. Pictures on Facebook. This little girl is an angel. All right, let's take another caller. Hi there. Welcome to the show. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Robert. It's Jay calling from Canada. How's it going?
Pretty good, man. How are you?
I'm doing okay, so despite the circumstances.
Well, that's all we can hope for, really, doing okay and maybe on the plus side of okay, despite the circumstances. So what's your birthday, Jay?
March 24th, 1964. I think I'm in your computer, I think.
Maybe. Sometimes I have to move stuff around because I only have 100 names I can keep in my database.
Oh, really?
Yeah. March 24th, 1964. Yeah, I use an online database. All right. What time?
Yeah, March, 11:54 p.m.
And where did that glorious event take place?
Yes, Medicine Hat, Alberta, Canada.
Medicine Hat. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
I want a medicine hat.
What?
I want a medicine hat, whatever that is. I want a medicine hat.
That's the headdress, eh? Yeah, those are pretty special.
All right, so I got you, man. There you are. Where do you want to take this?
Yeah, I got actually fired from my job on last Thursday, and it was a result of a bullying incident. So I just wonder what's the next 2 weeks. People are saying you'll have a job real soon, but I got to find out what that real job is now.
So you got fired from your job 2 weeks ago, right?
No, I got fired from my job on the 11th.
On the 11th. Okay, so that was 6 days ago. All right, so Saturn is at 0 degrees Pisces in your chart. So you've got Neptune on your Saturn, just off of your Saturn by 1 degree. And Neptune is opposing, all these planets up in your so you've got this zero degree Virgo moon opposite 0 degree Saturn in Pisces. I've never seen that before, by the way. The moon and Saturn opposition in any sign, that exact. And that's an interesting opposition, Jay, because generally speaking, the moon, represents our emotions and how we deal with our emotions and what we want and need from other people emotionally. And when it's opposed Saturn at such a clean and exact angle, many times we're kind of cut off from how we feel and how we perceive people to experience our feeling and vice versa. And it's Saturn in Pisces, I got to tell you, classic scapegoat angle. Saturn is related to the Hanged Man in Tarot, and Pisces is definitely the Hanged Man in Tarot. So, this is a tricky angle for you, not just in terms of now, but also kind of in your life, period. And so what we want to try to do is figure out how you can, work with, getting your emotional reality, moon in Virgo, 0 degrees. That's a hard place, by the way, for the moon in Virgo, especially at that degree. And we want to be able to try to figure out how it can become more compatible with this projected scapegoat, Saturnian, Piscean energy. And I think what we want to do is we want to look at the midpoint, really. And the midpoint, which is that place that's right in between the two. So, currently Jupiter is in Gemini, and it's not at the midpoint, the exact midpoint, but Jupiter goes back to about 5 degrees, 6 degrees in 2013, and it gets it closer back to that midpoint. So one of the things that you can look at, especially as you move through 2012 and especially the first few months of 2013, is you want to be able to kind of get beyond the notion of looking for a job or anything like that, even though those things are very important. Trust me, I understand that. But what you want to do is you want to try to recalibrate this opposition. And the recalibration of the opposition is, I think, going to be, it's a little challenging, but I think, and don't take this wrong, okay, but I think it would be really good for you during this time or that time to get into some therapy. And not therapy in the sense that you're going to find out what's wrong with you, because I don't really think that that's really what this is about, but it's more along the lines of mirroring. And I think a really good therapist could mirror this disconnect between what you feel and how others perceive what you feel, or how you perceive how others feel what you're feeling, okay? And I think with Gemini is a mirror. Gemini is a reflection. It's the two sort of wrapped in the context of the one. So I think that it would be important for you to get this experience, because it would bring this notion of you being on the same page emotionally with the world around you a little bit closer. And I think that that's important for you in your life and in your chart, and not be so polarized. Because I think with that moon and that Saturn, you could be in a steady conflict of me versus them, or them versus me. And some of it, I got to tell you, is more about projection than actual factual information in terms of your own process. In terms of a job and finding a quote unquote new job, we look at the 6th house, we look at the 10th house, and your 6th house is fairly small, but you do have Venus there in Taurus. So what we want to look at here is, where can you take advantage astrologically of hooking up with Venus or hooking up with new relationships. Initially, your Venus is at 19 degrees Taurus. So I would say your best opportunity for a meaningful job, and a meaningful job would come really towards the end of the year. What you want to do is you want to piggyback on the Sun trine to Venus, the Sun in Capricorn, any other Capricornian planets getting into position to trine your Venus in the 6th house, which would allow you to piggyback on connections and network with people. So if you can, and I'm talking about a meaningful job, okay? I'm not talking about something that gets you from here to December. I'm talking about something that's more along the lines of, work that is going to be more important to you. You've got Pluto in Virgo at 12 degrees. So also right around that time, especially as you get more into 2013 and deeper into 2013, you're going to have a Pluto-Pluto trine. And with the Pluto-Pluto trine, you get to kind of redo, your life work, your life purpose, your life mission. And for you, Pluto is going to be in the 3rd house. Well, it's there now, but it's going to be more entrenched in your 3rd house. And the 3rd house, I'm sorry, it's the second house. My bad. It's the 2nd house. So Pluto in the 2nd house, and I've been dealing with this since 2009 when Pluto moved into my 2nd house. You deal with financial fear. The 2nd house is all about value. It's all about money. It's all about root chakra-based stuff. So when Pluto moves into your 2nd house, it's like, uh-oh, what the hell is going to happen now? Am I going to get it all taken away? Well, there's a chance. Well, you just had something taken away. What is that something? To be determined. You're going to find that out. But the thing with the Pluto transit in the 2nd house is you get to face your fear of, really, what is it? Death. That's what it is, because the most fundamental thing that we cling to on this planet is life and death. And the 2nd house is Taurus. It's really just the most fundamental expression of life, too. It's very early childhood, sort of experiences. It's like, potty training, all that stuff. So the 2nd house is actually a very, from my experience, it's a very sensitive house. It's a very vulnerable house. And when Pluto moves through that, it's like, man, am I going to get obliterated? Is my savings going to get blown up? My 401k, where's that going? Am I going to be homeless? All that shit comes up with Pluto in the 2nd house. But the good news is that in 2012, Pluto moves into a trine with your natal Pluto. It's there for 2 years. So you really get to redo whatever it is that you want to do in your life. And your midheaven is at 25 degrees Virgo, so you really need to use your brains. You need to be analytical and use your, some of that all that Virgoan stuff happening up in your 9th house with Pluto and Uranus and the moon. Look, I'm going to share this with you in a very loving way too. You're complex, and there's an aspect to those conjunctions up there in the 9th house which makes you kind of eccentric and makes you see things that other people can't see. And that's just the way it is. And people aren't comfortable around stuff like that, Jay. They're just not. And you've got to find a way to kind of make that work for you. Just like Camille in the last call, you have to do that for yourself as well. And Pluto, the Pluto trine is going to give you an opportunity to do that. Part of what Uranus and Pluto in the ninth house can be really good for is prognostication, and getting out ahead of the curve and being ahead of people and seeing things that people, just don't have the proximity or the psychic tools to see. You've got that. You just need to find out a way to make that work for you and to do it in a way where people want to pay you for it. And if you can find some type of tool that helps you with modeling and predictive analysis and trends, you'll be a millionaire. I'm serious about this. You just need to figure that out and find that model for you. People say, yeah, I want this. I want this. You'd be a very good consultant. With a Virgo moon, the Virgo moon is very analytical and clear. Virgo moon doesn't necessarily need to be liked all the time, but what it needs to do is it needs to be able to produce order. And with that Virgo moon, you could actually sit down with a client and say, here's what's wrong with your business. Here's what's wrong with your modeling. I'm just going to take out my laser beam and I'm going to eviscerate all these things because I'm really not attached to how you feel about this. I'm here to show you the most efficient and analytical way you can change your business or change your life. The rest is up to you. That's the kind of empowerment that we're talking about here with that ninth house. So anything that's along the lines of modeling, predictive trends, consulting, those are the strong pieces for you. And that's where you need to go. In Pluto, the Pluto transit in your second house is going to help you out. It's going to give you a boost. I've been through the Pluto transit myself for the last year and a half, and to me it's been a godsend, especially since it's gone through my second house. So what you want to do is try to get through till December, okay? Because in December, the sun goes into your second house, it begins to trine your Venus, and that's when you can pick up on some more professional connections. But in the meantime, I would step away from the drama of your termination and begin to think about and begin to say thank you. However it happened, whatever scapegoating and projecting took place, give thanks. Give thanks because now you can really begin to think about your real work and then start to wrap your head around that.
Okay. So what do I do in the meantime, actually? You said till December. I can't wait December because of funds.
All right, I understand. What I would do is I would look around for something that will pay you. Pay you something that is not too demeaning, not too insulting. If you can somehow match it up with your ability to be analytical, great, do it. Just get. And I know that this is maybe not the most specific thing you need right now, but I would say just get something. Just get something. Look around, get something, and get something with the notion that the something that you're getting is not going to be the be-all and end-all. Because I think what you really want to do is because people hire after the first of the year, obviously, and you want to take advantage of that. You want to take advantage of that Sun-Venus trine with Venus specifically in your sixth house, which is your house of work. So just go out and get anything. Something that, all right, let's play a little game here. If there is something that you ever wanted to do that you weren't really, you didn't need to go out and get a certification on or any kind of crazy training, what would that thing be?
Well, me, I just do what I'm doing right now to build clientele with my drum making class. Okay.
Well, then, just continue to do that. Or maybe it could be something even different, like maybe, I don't know, 10 bar. 10 bar for 3 months, or maybe be a blackjack dealer for a few months. Something along those lines that is not going to root you in a place that is going to be, but you can make some money at. You go to an Indian casino up there in Medicine Hat or wherever you are, and go work at a casino I'm telling you, man, these casinos, they turn people over all the time. Mm-hmm. Just go do that for 3 months. The run up, by the way, towards the holidays with casinos is huge. People spend a lot of money in casinos before the holidays. Casinos actually have a lot of banquet business, too, prior to the holidays. Yeah. So that would be my advice to you. And then continue to move towards that December date.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
All right, man. man. Well, hang in there, and also on an interpersonal level, I think you need to figure out this dichotomy between the moon and Saturn. And I think some really, really good kind of reflective therapy where people really see you and can mirror you would be very empowering. It's not about finding out what's wrong with Jay. It's more along the lines of you seeing yourself clearly through the eyes of another person, in a way that people don't always give you the benefit of the doubt with.
Okay.
All right?
All righty.
All right, take a deep breath, man. It's going to be fine. Pluto is going to trine your Pluto. You're going to get a second wind. You're going to face your fear, and you're going to get through it. It's all good, okay?
Okay.
All right, thanks for calling in.
Thanks, Robert.
All right, see you.
Yep, bye-bye.
All right, let's go to the 917 area code. Hi there, thanks for calling the show. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Tina, and I'm calling from New Jersey. You are very informative. Thank you.
Oh, hey, Tina. Thank you for listening in. What can we do for you today?
I would like to know what you get from my amazing boyfriend, Corey, in our relationship.
Your amazing boyfriend, Corey. That's great.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
That's awesome. You know what? It's really good to hear a woman say, my amazing boyfriend. Because how many women dog their boyfriends? A lot. You know? It's great. Congratulations. What's his birthday?
Well, you know what? He's just a really nice person, and he has a lot of discipline, and I just appreciate that. So, I think I just really raised him that way.
Good, good. Excellent. When's his birthday?
December 23rd. December 26th.
December 26th. Okay, so he's a Capricorn, so he's going to be responsible.
Absolutely.
What year?
79.
Do you know his birth time?
I don't know his birth time.
All right, so we're just going to go to the fallback here. Let's just do this. I'm just going to do it. Where was he born?
In New Jersey.
Okay. Let's do this. All right. Okay, there's his chart. So he has Sun in Capricorn at 4 degrees, Moon in Aries at 10 degrees. So he has a Moon-Sun square. Let's see. Mercury in Sag, Venus in Aquarius, Mars in Virgo, Jupiter in Virgo. So this guy works hard.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, he's got a lot of Earth in his chart. Let's see. Saturn in Scorpio. Saturn in Virgo, Uranus in Scorpio. He does not have a lot of water in his chart, by the way. So
okay.
he would look. When's your birthday?
November 27th, 11/27/73.
So you're a Sagittarius.
Yes.
Yeah. So men that don't have a lot of water in their chart, what they do is they look to women to provide the water that they're missing in their life. And that's it is what it is. There's no judgment around that, but they tend to lean on women in some ways more than other men might. Like if a man has, 2 or 3 planets in water, especially if they're personal planets, they can be a little more emotionally self-contained than other men. If men don't have a lot of water in their chart, they will look to the woman in their life to provide that. Water, in this instance, is emotion. So there would be kind of a certain sense of dependence on you and your ability to emote, but not necessarily. It's not necessarily a bad thing, is what I'm sharing with you, but just maybe a little bit more. He has Venus in Aquarius, which allows him to be kind of breezy and more open and less judgmental. I mean, from a sexual standpoint, Venus in Aquarius is a lot more open to, and I'm not saying that you are, but let's say, you wanted to experiment sexually or you wanted to get kinky or something like that, he wouldn't really have a problem with that per se with Venus in Aquarius. He'd be much more open to exploration,
Okay.
Sun in Capricorn. The people that have Sun, the Capricorn Sun, he's an achiever. He's going to work hard to get through life and to get ahead in life. So he's an achiever, and he's somebody that can be counted on. Moon in Aries. The Sun-Moon square is interesting. People that have Sun-Moon square, a lot of times their achievement can be driven to please their mothers. And the mother can, and a mother doesn't necessarily have to be a bad mother, but it can be a mother that has placed certain standards inside the child's head, that you're going to do this, 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 and the child will work hard towards the achievement or towards the end of that achievement. But one of the things that's really important for him is at some point along the way, he's going to need to discover what his own goals are. That's going to be very important. So independent of what was predetermined or demanded of or asked either through the mother or the grandmother, he'll need to find something that's his own. And likely, since he's gone through his Saturn return, he's found that. Because when, Saturn and Virgo, people that have Saturn and Virgo, what they wind up going through is ditching their shit job or their meg job for really much more meaningful work. So hopefully he's gone through that, and there's no discrepancy with that. But again, the harder he works, the more capable he is definitely going to be. Mercury in Sag, he's bright, he's fun to be around. He's got the Moon Mercury trine. It's a wide trine, so he can be romantic. He'd be fun to travel with. This would be a guy that going on vacation with could be a really good time. One of the things that he would actually be pretty good at, if he would ever turn his head on with this, is tantric sexuality, because he's got all this stuff in Virgo: Mars in Virgo, Jupiter in Virgo, Saturn in Virgo, True Node in Virgo. Virgo, there's a sense of purity with Virgo. So what you would want to do is you'd want to tap into that. And tantric tantra's about saving oneself and reserving oneself, and it's about a lot of things, but that's the primary focus of it. And he's got Chiron in Taurus. He's going to have a Saturn-Chiron opposition coming up here by the end of the year. And one of the things you want to watch out for with him during that opposition is his health. And if he's working, so I don't know what his work schedule's like, but I would make sure that he is eating well, he's resting well, and he's getting some really good supplementary nutrition from a good multivitamin, and also getting enough minerals. So you might want to give him a multi-mineral thing going on, because the Saturn-Chiron opposition, if he is overworked or overstressed or too taxed, it's going to show up with health issues. And I would say specifically things like the adrenal glands. So make sure that he's getting enough rest and able to deal with the challenge of the Saturn-Chiron opposition. The other thing with the Saturn-Chiron opposition is have him, well, I wouldn't necessarily say have his prostate checked, but there can be sexual issues with the Saturn-Chiron opposition, especially in Taurus. So just keep an eye on that. Make sure his vitality is high during that time. Okay, that's important.
Okay.
Really important. Anything else you want me to share with you about him?
No. What did you see? Like just our interactions together, or where he saw us going?
When's your birthday again? November 27th. What year?
Yes, 73.
73. All right, let's punch you up here. 1973, November 27th.
Thank you.
Sure, hold on, November 27th. Okay, so looks like you have Moon in Capricorn. So you probably have a Moon-Sun conjunction. That's great. That's totally great. It doesn't get much better than that. So your Moon, which is the feminine aspect, conjuncts his Sun, which is the masculine aspect. This is a very good connection. You have Mercury in Scorpio, and Venus in Capricorn, so you would be attracted to Capricorns. You'd be attracted to people that have Capricornian attributes. You have Mars in, where's that Mars? You have Mars direct in Aries, Jupiter. You have Jupiter in Aquarius at 7 degrees. And he has Venus in Aquarius at 4 degrees. I mean, I'm really not much, Here, if you want my 40,000 foot view, this is a very good relationship.
Thank you.
And I would invest in this relationship on both ends. So your boyfriend, you want to get married? Is that what you want to do with this thing?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All women would probably want to get married. Let's see. So he's got Venus in Aquarius, doesn't always want to get married per se, because Venus in Aquarius wants to keep things open, but there's also this very conservative side with Virgo in his chart. So what I would do is, he's the one that would have to, of course, pop that question. Do you guys live together?
No, not yet. He wants us to.
Yeah, I'd live together. I would live together. I don't know what kind of social or moral constraints you're dealing with people around you, your family, your community, but I would live with him for sure. He would be open to that, and you could. I think that the living together would be quite good, and then you would just say, oh, hey, we may as well get married, somewhere down the line. But I would be open to living together. I would not turn that down. I would do that.
Oh, great. Well, what is the time frame of you see us moving together?
Well, the time frame, let's see. You've got Saturn in Cancer, which is all about the home, right? I would wait until Jupiter conjuncts your Saturn, and that would be in June or July of next year, probably June of next year. That's what I would do, because then it'd be a slam dunk. You get the Jupiter Saturn conjunction, which you like. It's in Cancer. It's a sign of the home. That's when I would do it.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you, sir.
All right. Thanks for calling in.
God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Shall we take a Skype call? Okay. Now, the Skype calls these are wild cards. I don't know who's on these Skype calls, but if you're a jerk, I'll kick your ass out of here. Hi. Thanks for calling the show.
Hi, Robert. It's Melissa. Melissa, hi.
Hi.
Well, thanks for answering the call.
Sure. Where are you calling from? Oh, Melissa, from Melissa. Yeah.
Yeah.
The intrepid traveler. Okay, where in the world is Waldo, Melissa?
Waldo?
Yeah, there's Waldo. It's a children's book, and there's this little guy with a little hat named Waldo, and he goes throughout all these pages all over the world, and he's hidden. And you've got to find Waldo. It's a children's book. Anyway, where are you? Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from France. I'm in France at the moment. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Are you in the south of France?
No, I'm in the middle of France.
The middle of France.
Yeah.
So our friend Melissa here is on a walkabout. She is living the dream. She's literally walking through Europe. And I guess, where's the destination, Melissa?
It was supposed to be Morocco, but we changed plans. We're going to go to Tunisia. Tunisia,
which I learned last night is the most northern part of northern Africa, more northern than Morocco. So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So so just a little background here. Melissa is a friend and a listener of the show and a follower of the blog. And she had a religious experience and decided that she wanted to walk away from her schooling and be with a person who is, for all intents and purposes, a soulmate, and walk all the way through and camp along the way, Europe and down into Africa, which I commend her for doing, because life is short, and to be able to have an experience like this is absolutely and utterly tremendous. So can you share with us what you've learned along the way a little bit?
Yeah, thank you, Robert. I think the most one of the most special experiences and learnings just has been really just being away and walking on the mountains and in the forest without anybody, and just being quiet and being able to hear yourself and being connected with the earth and with life. And it feels very liberating to not have input from the outside all the time, and to just have a sense of clarity and a sense of peace. And I like that here.
It reminds me of the life of the Buddha, where he walks away from all of his riches and just sits by the river, right? I mean, this is your Buddha walk. I love it. It's awesome.
Thank you. It's been really fun and challenging, and I was wondering about stuff to continue on this journey, because Saturn is wanted to ask you on your perspective, because Saturn is on my Jupiter and it's opposing Venus. Mm-hmm. And I was feeling I want to continue traveling and learning and going this way, but I have the sense that I need to feel like I have to build a solid foundation or achieve something as well. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's just deepening my studies or of astrology, or making more art and stuff like that, and getting disciplined. I was wondering if you could share your perspective on that.
Yeah, I'm looking at my my file here, and I think I might have removed you, unfortunately. Let me do this. Let me go back in here. Let's do your chart. So let's hold on. Let's just go into this chart. Yeah, there we go. All right, Melissa, give me your birthday again.
Sure. It's 31 May 1982.
Oh, that's right. Yes, of course. May 1982. And what time?
4 o'clock p.m.
4 o'clock p.m. And that's in Indonesia, is that right, or Malaysia?
Malaysia.
Mm-hmm. And which part of Malaysia?
Johor Bahru.
So, going down. What's the nearest big city?
Maybe Singapore, but Singapore is another country. That's the big one.
All right, let's just do this for now. Okay, so here's your chart, and okay. Yeah, so there's Saturn right on your Jupiter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and opposing. So the interesting thing about this dichotomy is that you really have to focus on yourself, right? I mean, that's when Saturn moves into the first house. I think. I mean, if we go back and we look at when Saturn, was on your Pluto, you made a decision. You made a decision to change your life.
Yeah.
Instead of the universe kind of working you worked the universe. And so you changed your path, and you decided to go off and do something that was very individual, stepping away from the institution, stepping away from your culture, stepping away from any kind of familial expectations. You decided that you were going to explore Melissa in a very primary way. And so now Saturn's on your Jupiter, and once it's moved past your Jupiter, it's still going to be in your first house. So one of the things about Saturn is you have to deal with limitations kind of wherever it is. And so with Scorpio, Saturn in Scorpio, you're going to be really focused on making everything in your life a transformational experience. Okay, that's what that's about. Everything must become something that transubstantiates and becomes something else. So whether it is, let's say you run across, let's say you're out in the mountains there in southern France, or when you get to southern France, you're in the Pyrenees or something, and then you run across something in those mountains that you see. Maybe it's an eagle that flies by, or maybe it's something in the forest that you glom onto. That experience must become fodder for your transformational journey. Everything now becomes about this. Okay, that's what you have to work in and factor into your life. So how do you do that? How do you become aware? Because what you're doing, Melissa, is you're changing your. The thing about that is really fascinating about a Scorpio first house Saturn transit is you're changing your identity, but you're not changing it superficially. You're not getting a new hairdo. You're not changing fashion designers. It's all from the depths and the core of who you are. So that's really what you have to be focused on. And if it's astrology that takes you to that place, or if it's macrobiotic diet that takes you to that place, or art that takes you to that place, or essential oils that take you to that place, that's the vehicle. And the vehicle is all about the transformation of the personality through depth. Now, the opposition with Saturn is a little tricky because you're on a walkabout with somebody, and you have to have this balance now between this need to honor your Venus, in the seventh house, with this kind of almost, for lack of a better term, solipsistic kind of focus on self. You have to unlock the key to self, and Saturn is the key, and it's right on Jupiter, and you don't want to miss it, right? You don't want to miss it, because Saturn is not going to come back this way for another 28 and a half years. So you need to focus on this moment in time, and there's something here in this moment in time for you. And it's very personal, obviously, it's the first house. So everything that you do right now, you have to enter into from a place of depth and focus and care and magic. And again, it's a little tricky, with Venus. Jupiter is your pal. It's up there in your 8th house, and it's going to be moving backwards. It's going to connect with your Mercury. It's going to connect with your Sun when it goes retrograde. So that's going to remind you. It's going to remind you of who you are, why you came here, what your gifts are, what your skills are. So part of it also is about resurrection. Resurrecting things from your past lives, your past lives within this lifetime. So that's cool. I just think you have to. I think everything you do needs to be entered into with a sense of depth and a sense of the sacred. And if you do that, whatever you choose will open up these vistas, these internal vistas for you, these internal planes of experience. But the challenge is balancing that with the needs of that Venus out there in your 7th house. And it's kind of a tricky place for you because you are traveling with somebody. So maybe they can, be a part of your personal journey to a certain extent. And then another part in time, you have to say, okay, I need to do this on my own for a while. As long as you can communicate, I think that might be able to work for you. But I just think that the dynamics between Saturn and Venus right now are a little bit tricky in your chart. And I don't know if you feel that way, but that's kind of how it shows up.
Yeah, I've been feeling that way since just a day or so before the new moon and like in Libra and the change of Saturn into Scorpio. And the thing that I've been thinking about is I want to get my Saturn right because I stopped going to school and I decided to do this, like you say, go on this journey, and I just want to get it right and lay the foundation right because I know it's an important time, the first house and I do sometimes worry about how about the right livelihood I should be having in the future, but and Saturn is going to kick my ass. I'm worried that Saturn is going to kick my ass.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I love Saturn first house transits, by the way. I think it's one of the best transits for Saturn. No, I'm serious. And when Saturn, and I had Jason Fleming on the show a while ago, and we talked about the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction, and it brings out the best of both planets. Saturn gets to expand, Jupiter gets a little bit of focus. I think it's great. And right now the sun is right on your Pluto today, right? This is a big, big day for you. Mm-hmm. It's a huge day, sun on Pluto. So you're getting, hopefully, from today and the rest of today, kind of an insight into what you need to do. Anything that you do, you just need to enter into it with focus and with depth. Now, if it's the study of astrology, go deep. Get books, use this time to study, learn. If it's art and you're a tremendous artist, take your sketchbook with you and just allow the outside world and the inside world to merge in a way that is as profound as it can be, because you're changing. You're in a metamorphosis stage, and when Saturn moves away from your Jupiter, it's going to take up the sole position in your first house, and now it's leading the pack. Now you must follow Saturn, and I think you're in a good place. Don't worry about Saturn kicking your ass. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, Robert. It's fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah. So hey, stay in touch on Facebook and call in, and you're welcome to ask me any questions anytime you want. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye. Thanks, I will.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, Melissa.
Bye.
Incredible journey she's on. Trust me. If you just think about this, if you walked away from your job or you walked away from school and things that you've been studying and working with for a long time to travel by foot throughout any continent in the world, for her it's Europe, that takes a lot of balls. I got to tell you, a lot of balls. And she's doing it, and hats off to her. Thanks for holding and calling in. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Lindsay from Ohio.
Hey, Lindsay, what's happening?
Not too much. Would you like my birth date?
Sure, absolutely.
It's 8/16/77. I was born at 5:51 p.m.
8/16/77. Hold on a second. A lot of snakes today. Calling. All right, and when's your what time? 5:51
p.m.
Okay. And where was that?
Fort Thomas, Kentucky.
Okay. There it is. There's another Fort Thomas in Arizona.
There we go.
Okay, there's your chart. All right, where do you want to go?
I don't. Just pick something.
Pick something.
Pick something.
Okay.
What stands out to you?
Well, all right. So we're going to go to Saturn, because Saturn is in Scorpio, and Saturn has just moved into your 10th house. Congratulations. Whenever Saturn moves into your 10th house, it is a peak. It is considered a peak for your work, for your career, and in some ways for your life in general. But because you're fairly young, you're going to have another crack at Saturn 28 years from now as it moves once again into your 10th house. So you'll get a good 2 peaks in this lifetime. So that said, you really want to take advantage of Saturn in your 10th house. It's about achievement. You want to achieve. Everything you do for the next 2.5 years, you want to be focused on achievement, getting ahead, and I don't know what kind of work you do, but one of the things that is kind of a hallmark of your work, and this goes back to our call with Camille earlier in the show, is that you have Uranus in the 10th house. So you need to become innovative. Saturn is going to demand that you become innovative. Anything that you do with your work, innovate. You've got a Uranus-Jupiter trine in your chart, which is the trine of genius, by the way. Saturn's going to tap that, and it's going to force you to become an original thinker, bring more originality, more new ideas, fresh ideas, outside-the-box ideas. Anything that you do along those lines, you will be richly rewarded for that, okay?
Awesome.
Saturn also trines Venus in your chart, so it's a time for you to be able to work professional relationships, network within your network, networking at large, with larger networks, any kind of, and this is a little bit of a ways off, by the way, it's not till like the middle of next year, but professional relationships really take off and take on a new meaning for you. So it's because there are times when you want to, with your career, kind of put your nose to the grindstone and work hard, or maybe there are times when you want to add new skills.
Right. I'm a massage therapist.
So then, okay, perfect. So what you want to do is, you want my opinion? Here's what I would do if I were you. I would set up a massage therapist network. That's what I would do. I would have other people working with me, through me, underneath me, around me, and being able to profit off of that.
Okay.
And you can profit off of that from getting referrals to actually managing them. So that's what I would do. And as far as using that Saturn to help you out, one of the things that I would do with that Saturn is I would look at, what do you do as a massage therapist that's unique, right? And you don't have to answer that now, but what do you do that's unique about your massage therapy? That's what you want to focus on. Maybe you want to start your own system of massage therapy, which could be interesting. Anything that sets you apart and brings you new insights into your work, that's where you want to focus.
Right. I've been focusing more on expanding my other abilities, like my psychic abilities. I have some, and I'm trying to build those too. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, you could maybe bring that into your massage work. Psychic massage. Seriously, touching a meridian and getting a hit or a feeling or vibration,
right,
or some form of intuition. Rubbing the back of somebody's calf or something. Say, oh man, I'm picking up an old war wound here, or something along those lines.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, allowing the body to talk to you, because Scorpio is a very somatic sign. Scorpio is the intersection between the emotions and the body and the psyche. So I would definitely focus on that kind of aspect. You've got Pluto has just moved into your first house, by the way. Pluto's at 8 degrees. It's moved just off of your ascendant, and you're going to have Pluto in your first house for probably about another 20 years. So Pluto in the first house is all about learning how to use power, how to direct power, how to guide power, but it's in Capricorn. So for you, it's about building. You need to build, and building. It's not just building your practice, but it's about building a reputation, building a legacy, and you can use that Capricornian energy to be more of a CEO or kind of more of a business head or a business leader. So use that energy. Okay. Build towards success in a big way. You have that. You've got Mars in Gemini, and you've got Jupiter, it looks like, in Gemini, and it's in the 6th house. Those are 6th house is the house of healing and the house of service. So you're in a good work, and it's about being kind of multifaceted. When Jupiter, you really want to get ready to expand. Your business when Jupiter hits Mars in May and June of next year. Okay?
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, that's what I was planning on doing that. So.
Okay.
Okay, I thank you very much.
Thanks for waiting. Thanks for calling in, Lindsay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And that brings us to the end of the show. If you're listening now, you're listening to the show post-stream. You're listening to the podcast. And I want to thank everybody for calling in today. It's been a great show, really busy, wall-to-wall calls. I haven't been in the chat room, but I'm assuming that we had a pretty busy and active chat room today as well, because it's as above, so below, as within, so without. My name is Robert Phoenix, and you've been listening to Navigating the Astrological Matrix. I do have a website. Even though I have not updated it, it's coming soon. But it's robertphoenix.com, and I do this for a living. You can find me there, and you can find me at robertphoenix@robertphoenix.com if you want to send me an email. Okay, thank you, one and all, for listening and calling in. Lanice, I see you. I hope you were just listening today, which is what you often do. And I will catch up with you next week. And that's it. Join me on Friday with Claire Kuhn, and we're going to be talking about free energy. Who has it? Who wants it? How do we get it? The myths and the realities around free energy. Don't miss the show. I'll see you on Friday, and use your head to discern what's real, your heart to stay open to what's possible. Love you all. This is Robert Phoenix. Adios.
In the name I am that I am, son of tomorrow, I call forth the light of the living word, beloved Elohim, beloved archangels, beloved mighty Choans of the rays and the lords of karma. I call for the action of beloved Pallas Athena, beloved goddess of liberty, beloved Nada, beloved Kuan Yin, beloved Portia, beloved great divine director, beloved all-seeing eye of God, Cyclopeia. Let God's will be done, let God's will be done, let God's will be done. I demand the action of the sacred fire in this hour. Descend on mighty cosmos, secret rays. I am the holding of the balance of Lord Gautama Buddha, beloved Sanat Kumara and the seven holy Kumaras. I call upon the sacred fire, I call upon the light of God that never fails. Beloved mighty, I am present, come forth in this hour of the victory. Come forth in this hour of the victory of the God flame. I demand the full power of beloved mighty Athene with us this night. Beloved Jesus, send to me, Lord mighty, Gautama and Sanat Kumara. Come forth now in the victory of the God flame. Send the light of 10,000 suns. Beloved mighty Athene, mighty Athene, mighty Athene. Around this fortune now. I call upon the great single sun magnet. I call upon the light of God,